welcome back to another coffee catch-up. Today I'm drinking out of my Just Juice mug and I'm doing a lot of gisting, including filming quite a few of these little coffee catch-ups for you guys. I hope you guys have been enjoying the daily videos. Leave a comment down below if you guys have any requests for future ones. But as of today, I figured we would change it up a little bit and talk about something a bit more personal. This is something that I've been wanting to talk to you guys about and just wasn't really sure exactly if I wanted to do it in a podcast, if I wanted to do it in like a Fitness Friday video, a full video, or what. But I figured why not do it in a coffee catch-up, because it's not that long of a story, but it is one that I feel like maybe some of you guys out there might either relate to or gain some perspective in, or maybe you just want to hear it because you're curious. But either way, today we're going to talk about my cycle. Now, I am someone that has always had a bit of a regular schedule, okay? When it comes to my cycle, I got my period when I was 12, I was in grade 6, and then it went away for like 3 months and then it fully came back, and then it never ever like missed a beat pretty much for that onward until about 2018. There were definitely times where when I would become very stressed in my life, I think once in grade 12, and then once shortly after that my period kind of went off for like 2 months, but then it would instantly come back, and I could tell whether it be from like the fact that I just knew that there was no other possibility aside from it just disappearing for a little while, or I could just feel in my body like I'd get cramps, I'd get some spotting, so I knew that it was still there. It was just like maybe my stress was affecting it and whatever. But it wasn't until last year, 2018, that I actually lost my period for a full year. What ended up happening was back in around November, December of 2017, I decided that I wanted to try going on a pill. But the thing is that I have a history with the pill before. I've tried, I believe it was Yasmin. I'll pop whatever brand it was on the screen. It was Yaz or something like that I was on. And when I had initially gone on that pill, I was 18. I didn't last on it for very long because I found it just completely put my emotions out of whack. And because I'm someone that suffers already from mental health issues, like it's very easy for me to get anxious. And at that point in my life, when I was around the age of 18, I was also dipping into some pretty like deep sets and times of depression. So it triggered all of that for me, and it was just way too overwhelming, so I got off of it. So skip forward to 2017 when I decided that I wanted to try going on a pill again. I decided to go on a progesterone only pill, which means that there isn't any estrogen, or if there is, it's a very, very small amount. I'm not a doctor, don't quote me on that, but that was my understanding of it, is that it was more of a progesterone, hard word to say, hormone pill that would basically still do the same thing, but ultimately it just meant that there was higher masculine hormones being released into my body than feminine hormones like estrogen, which would help with the mood swings and the side effects. So when I went on that pill, I ended up losing my period. Now, I only stayed on that pill for about 6 months, and it was April of 2018 that I came off of that pill. I was under the impression that I had lost my period because of this pill, and that is a very common thing to go on this pill in particular and to have either your periods get very, very light or they disappear altogether. Mine disappeared altogether. At first I was like, okay, that's fine. I assume it'll probably come back in about 60 days, maybe 90. It's usually about 3 to 4 months that your cycle would come back, but come 6, 7 months, when I started to hit that mark, around the end of summer last year, I started to get a little worried, and I was like, my period's not coming back yet, and I'm feeling all kinds of weird. So I don't know how long you guys have been watching my channel, or if you guys are aware of this, or I don't even know if I do such a good job at translating this side of myself. It's something I'm still learning about in my own day-to-day living, but it's just my connection to like spirituality and how I feel about the world, how I feel about life, our meaning of being here, all of that. And I am a little superstitious, and by a little I mean a lot. And so I had once read a book that was all about like the female cycle and how it incorporates into like, you know, Mother Nature and the earth, and the cycles of the moon are very similar to like our cycles as women. And I do believe that there is some correlation there. I'm not one to 100% believe in anything. I think that there's a little bit of truth in everything, but basically what I'm getting at here is I started to look into a maybe deeper like emotional meaning as to why my period wasn't coming back yet. And as I looked into that, I also told myself, okay, if it's not back by the end of 2018, I'm going into a doctor. Now, please, 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 please do not get mad at me. And also know that if your period is missing, go to a doctor sooner. This is just what I felt comfortable with myself. So during that time, I had gone through a lot of change in my emotional life, and I had gone through a lot of change just developing as a human being and developing my soul, developing as a woman. And so I felt like maybe a big part of it was that my body had also been changing. It had been fluctuating quite a bit. My emotions, my moods had been changing and fluctuating quite a bit, so that maybe my hormones were not really given a chance to fully rebalance. I went and got some blood work done. Everything was showing up fine, so I decided to wait a little longer. Now hear me out, okay? This is where things get a little interesting, at least for me. So come December, I was like, all right, my period's not back yet. It's time for me to book a doctor's appointment. So I call into my doctor, and I had booked an appointment for the 3rd, I want to say, of January. It was the day before I was supposed to leave for Punta Cana this year. It takes a couple weeks for me to get into my doctor, and so as I was waiting, I was just like, kind of coming to the conclusion that I'd put this on the back burner and I'd worry about it when I went to my doctor, and we would try and figure it out together. The 31st, aka the very, very last day of 2018, and guess what? Decided to rejoin my life. I don't know why I decided to talk about this today. I guess it's just one of those things that I had lost it for a year, and I was so worried and I was so concerned, and it is one of those things that I wasn't sure if it was because of the pill that I had been on or if it was because I wasn't taking the proper care of my body, and it really started to mess with me, and it really started to make me doubt myself. It really started to make me feel weird. It's one of those things that my whole life that I've ever had, my period, I always used to complain about it. I always feel like, oh, PMSing or like cramps, and like blame everything on it and just like resent it so much. But it wasn't until it came back into my life that I had found a new appreciation for what it means to not only just be a woman, but also to see the beauty in the natural form that life takes, and the ability that our human bodies have to not only regulate these types of things, and the natural intelligence within our bodies to do these things without us basically forcing it or telling it to do so, but just the fact that our bodies do that naturally. And like I said, I do believe that there is some correlation between the cycle of our bodies, the cycles of the moon, our seasons, this earth, everything. I feel like nothing is really coincidence. And so when it came back on that day, it was the 31st, like literally the day before the new year, I started bawling hysterically because I was just like, yes, like I felt like a new connection, or my reconnection came back to a deeper sense of the universe or of Mother Nature. I don't know, this is sounding so lame now that I'm admitting it out loud, but I guess the moral of today's story is that once it did come back, it came back at such a symbolic time in my life, and it came back at such a symbolic time, and just in general to the fact that it had been almost exactly a year since the day that it had went away that it came back. And I feel like that 1 year taught me so much, and that once it was gifted back to me, I feel like I never wanted to take it for granted again. So now I am doing a really, really good job at researching. For instance, if you're doing yoga, you're not supposed to be doing inversions when you're on your period, for just little tips and tricks that you can use leading up to your cycle if you know that it's coming, just to help yourself ebb and flow through it without getting too crazy and erratic emotions. And I've really just, I guess, honored what it means to take the best and utmost care of my body. That 1 year was such a scare for me that I realized how much the way that we take care of ourselves, not only just emotionally, but physically as well, plays such a role in our overall experience as human beings on this planet. And I will never ever take for granted that cycle again, because one day when I go to have kids, I want that cycle to be there. I want to be able to do those things, and I want to be able to cherish, I guess, what it means to be a woman. That is my story today as to how I lost my cycle for a year, I guess the shorter version of it. If you guys ever want me to dive deeper into this topic, dive deeper into the research I've done, dive deeper into just like my own experience with it, let me know, and I can talk about it more in, like I said, a Fitness Friday, a podcast maybe, all of that good stuff. And aside from that, I will talk to all of you guys with tomorrow's morning cup of coffee. Bye guys.